Evening. How's everybody out there? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So great to see you, to have you here today. We're going to be talking about life transitions, those things that happen all the time to us, no matter who we are, no matter what position we hold, no matter what our title might be. As a leader, we're always faced with transitions as well. And one of the big transitions that we're facing, change, of course, is this weather. And so, I want to know, how's it going where you are? What's the weather like? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget, I want you to put in your questions that you might have about leadership and transitions, and we'll have a great conversation this morning. Here in Detroit, I want to say hello to everyone who's with me live. And for those of you on the replay, hello. How are you today? In Detroit, the weather is beautiful, in fact. Little high humidity, but a beautiful day. It's been beautiful. Dr. Pierre, how are you? Oh, so in Dallas, it's a little cooler, 99 degrees. I'm looking forward to having you join me on this live stream. And Dr. Pierre, we got to decide what we're going to talk about, because there's so many things. You have such an expertise in the healthcare arena, in leadership, working in community. We need to decide what value we're going to bring when you're a guest on my show. I look forward to that. And to any of you who want to talk about particular subjects or topics, or there's a question on your mind, leave it in the comments, put it in the chat. But also, I would love for you to let me know what kind of topics you'd like to talk about. Today we're talking about navigating life transitions, particularly as leaders that you are. So it's really great. I want to say hello again to everyone. Let me know what the weather's like where you are. We're going to go live and say hello to our TikTok community. Welcome. How are you? Those of you in TikTok who are there with us today, we're talking about navigating life transitions. But I'd love to know, for those of you who are joining, I see hey, how's everybody doing? For those of you who are joining on TikTok, hello, and let me know what the weather's like where you are. I want to say hello to our Facebook friends, our YouTube, our friends on X, and of course, LinkedIn. So yes, how are you? I'm just saying hello to everybody joining on TikTok. So weather, is it, as wonderful where you are as it is in Detroit? We've got high humidity going on, but it's been great. And have you all also been watching the Olympics? Oh my gosh. But see, the thing about the Olympics, it seemed to go so fast. Hey there, Sonic and Villarosa, how y'all doing? How's it going? Yes, so good to see you, Shelly, Pat, everyone joining from TikTok. We're going to talk about life transitions today. But I just wanted to know what you all thought about the Olympics. Weren't they exciting? Just magnificent strength and agility and great sportsmanship. Oh, it's just fantastic. The U.S. winning all that gold, bringing it home. How are you? Yes, that's right. Simply beautiful, my soul flower. How y'all doing today? Okay, so I want to make sure you know that I'm going to answer your questions. Promise I will answer them. Put them in the chat. Your questions, those of you on TikTok, as you know, It's just the age speaking. Sometimes I can't see all the questions, but you know I'm there. Put them in the DMs. DM me if you've got questions, and I'll answer them live for you too, directly. So, hey, you know, those are the realities we got here. We ready to go. Listen. So today, you'll learn how to use life's constant changes to become a better, stronger, more effective leader. Now, here's what I mean when I say that. Now, changes are always happening in our work, in our personal life, in the community, in society. And being a leader doesn't make these changes any easier. But let me tell you, you can turn those challenges, the life changes that we experience, into chances to grow. So I want to show you today how to look at these changes differently so that you can lead better. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Geneva Williams, and yes, I earned that doctorate. And I've navigated more life transitions than I can count, from raising over $100 million for community causes as a nonprofit executive to starting my own business in my late 60s. I've moved 8 times. I've balanced being a wife and a mother with my career. And later, I faced the challenges of widowhood and caregiving. And through it all, I've held leadership roles in organizations big and small. I've taken on countless community and civic leadership positions, and through it, learned it wasn't all easy, trust me, but I learned how to use these transitions to grow stronger and lead better. And so today, I'm here to share those lessons with you and give you three strategies for handling life's big shifts. So you can use your life changes to elevate your leadership. So, you know, just for a moment, so what do we mean by life transitions and why do they matter so much for us as leaders? Well, there's life transitions, really, I like to put them in 3 buckets. One are those career changes, those shifts in your work life. And so you may be shifting jobs, switching from one position to another. Maybe you're getting promoted or starting your own business. Maybe you go from, you know, particularly when you get a promotion, you go from a team member to a team leader overnight. That's a transition. That's a big change. And suddenly, in that situation, you're not just doing the work, but you're guiding others too. And that's a transition that can affect how you lead. So that's one bucket, the career changes that you go through at work. The second bucket are those transitions or changes in your personal life. And those changes can definitely affect your leadership. You know, think about becoming a grandparent or going through a divorce or moving to a new city. Let's say you relocate for your job. Now you're leading a team in a new culture, maybe even a new language. That's what happened to me when I moved from the East Coast to the Midwest and started out in leadership roles in my organization. And it was completely new and different. I was in a new space. You know, the East Coast culture is very different than the Midwest, and it was all new. Plus, I was a new bride. So I was juggling a whole lot of stuff. And so those personal transitions that we go through definitely have an effect on how we lead and what we do with work. And oftentimes our leadership style needs to adapt. So that's the second bucket. The third category of life changes are age-related transitions. So, as we mature and get even better, we do face new challenges and opportunities. Now, this could be, dealing with health issues, becoming your mom's caregiver, or adjusting to the fact that your kids have left and you're now in an empty nest. So let me tell you, there's some real, we're going to talk about how, when we talk about how life transitions can have joy in it, that can be some joy now, particularly if they not only leave your house, but are out of your pocketbook. Okay. But just imagine for a moment that you're a leader who suddenly needs to take care of an aging parent. Okay? That's going to have an effect on your work, on your job, what you're doing in your career, isn't it? You might need to delegate more, which, if you have to delegate more, that's going to mean you really have to learn how to trust your team and empower them more. So that if you haven't been doing that, that's going to require some skills, some learning, some new things, and dealing with people in a different way, all affecting you as a leader. So those are the categories of transitions. And I want to say one thing about transitions. They don't just stay in their lanes. Now, even though I talked about, three distinct buckets, things in them buckets, they be crossing all over. A career change will affect your personal life. Health challenge can, change how you work at work. And, I remember the times now, I don't know about y'all, but, having an argument with a loved one early in the morning, right before your big presentation, can affect your delivery, your words that you say in your presentation, and certainly your mood. So, as leaders, these changes, these shifts that are everywhere, that happen all the time and happen to us, they don't just affect us, but they ripple. They affect the people we work with, our teams, our organizations, our communities. For instance, you might find it difficult at work to focus uh, if you're going through a divorce. Your team might notice that something's different. They may even notice that you're distracted or you seem less available. Okay. And so these transitions affect us. But I want you, just taking that same situation, if we flip it around, you certainly are building up resilience during that tough time of going through a divorce. Maybe that will make you a more empathetic and stronger leader. Or maybe you'll take on a big community project that you feel you've got to get out there and do something because you're now an empty nester and you're looking for purpose. And you bring fresh energy to what it is that you're doing. So the point is that these transitions are happening all the time. Yes, there are disruptions, but they're also opportunities to grow. Okay? Now, and that's what, we're going to talk about that today. That's what this is about. So if this is good to you, if you're looking forward to the conversation, put a yes in the comments. If you're enjoying this, say yes. Let me know how you're feeling, what you're thinking so far. I want to get real for a moment about transitions. Okay. Thank you. Mwah! My TikTok family. Good to see it. Oh, good to see everything. So I want to acknowledge and just say straight up that these transitions, oftentimes they're tough. Now, transitions don't always have to be negative now, okay? Getting married, that's something new. Uh Having, your daughter and her hubby have a new baby, bringing that into the family, you getting a promotion. All of those are changes too. So when we think about life changes, um it's not about negative or positive. They could go the whole gamut. But even with a brand new grandbaby in the house or getting married or what have you, all of those changes require adjustments. And oftentimes it's tough, really tough. And sometimes when you're in the middle of a big life change, it can feel like you're trying to be a leader and lead and do your thing while you standing in quicksand. Has anybody felt like that? If you have, put a I have in the comments. I have. When you're trying to deal with this stuff, it feels like you stuck or you sinking. And when those things happen, sometimes your confidence takes a hit. And you might wonder if you're cut out for this leadership role you in that you've taken on. You might wonder if you're even cut out for it at all. And trust, I've been there. There have been so many times when the personal things that were going on in my life, as I would try to do my leadership roles, that you get torn and you're trying to balance all of that. And so the truth is that being a leader doesn't make you immune to life challenges. It doesn't protect you. It doesn't. In fact, it could even make them feel harder because you might feel the pressure to have it all together, never to show weakness. And I've been there on that one. When things are tough and you still got to, I've led organizations and I have to, on that day that I have to go to a board meeting and I just finished tussling with the school about my younger son and his challenges at school, and go there in the morning and deal with that, the principal, the teachers, trying to do all that, and then have to walk into a board meeting, but have to walk in cool, sharp, like you got it all together. Some pressure. That's being able to juggle over that. But here's the thing. It's precisely those situations, if we approach them right, those transition that can in fact forge us, help us into becoming an even stronger leader. So how do we turn these challenging times into opportunities for growth? Well, let me just say, first of all, before I get into 3 very specific strategies, I want you to know it does begin with mindset. Okay. That lens through which you see things, which you view the world. And how do you see the transition? How do you see that life change? Is it a threat or is it an opportunity? Do you believe that you can grow through the challenge, or do you feel that you're going to be stuck? Okay? So mindset underlines everything that we're talking about today. And so one of the techniques, one of the things that's so critical is to change the narrative that we have in our heads about change. Does that make sense? Does that make sense that mindset matters a lot? put yes in the comments if you think that mindset matters. Okay. So, so I want to talk about 3 strategies that can help you. And I don't want to deny at all the reality of um, how hard transitions can be at all. Even if it's something that brings you joy, like becoming a grandparent, to a serious health challenge. Um, those can be hard. But the strategies I'm giving you are going to be about changing how we approach, how we think about these challenges. And that's the main message. If you take away nothing else, that's what I want you to take away from today's lessons. Okay. And so these strategies may be a little uncomfortable at first. You may not know how to, what they all mean, but stay with me and let's walk it through. And any questions that you have, please put them in the chat. For my friends on TikTok, if I can't see the question, DM me, put it in the comments or the DM. So the first strategy I invite you to think about that can help you navigate life transitions as a leader is to embrace the mess, embrace the chaos. Now, that may shock you a little, but that's number uno lesson that I want to talk about today. So, because there's this mystique about leaders that we often think that we have to have it all together. But here's the truth. The real growth, the real challenge, the real authenticity, is happens when things get messy. I often talk about in the middle. When you start I did a lot of work in establishing strategic partnerships. And I would always tell my team that the best part, the easiest part of a collaboration, a partnership, is the beginning and the end. And it's in the middle where things get tough and messy and get chaotic. Because, in the beginning, everything's great. Everybody wants to collaborate. Everybody wants to sit down. Everyone nods their head when you ask, do you want to collaborate? Who's going to shake their head and say, no, I don't want to collaborate? No. People say, yes, I want to work with you. Okay. And then at the end, particularly if it works, you celebrating. You got some results, etc. It's good. So the beginning and the end, they be easy. It's in that middle that when you actually sit down and you're exchanging conversation, ideas, and resources, and you have to do the work, that middle part is what gets messy. In the same way with transitions, when you're in a transition, when you're actually in it, okay, things can feel really chaotic. So instead of fighting it, lean into it. So how you do that, Dr. Geneva? Well, first of all, be open about your challenges. I think sharing your journey with your peers, with your team, is important. It builds authenticity, certainly builds trust. And then look for things that might be opportunities in that chaos. Maybe a career setback that you have could lead you to doing a passion project that you've really been putting off. I was talking to a colleague the other day who was feeling kind of down about the new position that she had moved into, and she felt it wasn't really stimulating. And then she began to talk about all of the things because she didn't have to devote or felt she didn't need to devote 100% of her efforts to this new role. It gave her the freedom to do other things. And this new role happened to put her in new places where she could leverage other opportunities. So oftentimes look for those things that you don't expect will be in the chaos. And also use the mess or the chaos you're going through to reevaluate your priorities of what's important, what really matters to you now. So if you feel that, oh, this is chaos, this is really throwing me for a loop, what have you, take a moment to sit down and say, well, what is important about what I'm into now? And do if I really think about what matters to me, what is that? So use it as an opportunity to do that. And then also during this time of chaos and embracing the mess, create a self-care routine. Now, this may sound counterintuitive that when everything's chaotic, that you focus on taking care of yourself, but it ain't. That's the time where you really need to dig deep and create yourself a routine of self-care. Okay, something, because this is when you need it most. And, it might be, I'm going to do that daily walk or take that yoga class you've been putting off, or just make sure you get enough sleep. Okay, because if you're healthy, if you're balanced, if you're taking care of yourself, you can handle the mess much better. And so remember, it's okay not to have all the answers. So as you're embracing the mess and taking care of yourself, remember that you are growing. You are getting stronger, and it is happening. And so you'll emerge from that transition stronger than ever. So the second strategy I'd like you to think about in navigating life transitions as a leader is to become a rookie again. Okay. So for those of you maybe not familiar with the sports lingo, a rookie is someone who's brand new to a team or in a job. It's someone who's first time up. It's their first player in the first season, still learning the ropes, etc. They may make mistakes, but they're full of energy, love to learn, see things with fresh eyes. And so as leaders, we used to again, we used to be the experts, knowing it all, got it all together. But in times of transition, when things are chaotic, taking on a rookie role, a beginner's mindset, fresh eyes, really can be a secret weapon for you. Okay, because for a couple of reasons. First of all, it keeps you humble and open to learning. And when you're act like you're a beginner, new, you tend to be more curious and ask questions and seek advice and see things with fresh eyes. And you might spot opportunities that you would have missed or that others might miss if you're stuck in your old ways. When I transitioned into the first female executive of this large multi-million-dollar organization, and I was young, my early 40s, but I had been in every position almost in the organization. So, I felt I knew the organization like the back of my hand. Okay. But when I stepped into that number one position, a mentor of mine gave me the best advice ever. And it was this advice. She said to me, Geneva, make sure that you take your first 2-3 months and act like you're a new person in the organization. So I said, what you talking about? I've been here all these years. I work hard. I work real hard. Well, I'm going to act like I'm new. She said, try it. And so I thought about it. So I said, okay. So I developed these series of what I called listening sessions. And I began to talk to my staff, board members, key stakeholders, and just be curious and ask them, what did they think of the organization? What could we do for the future? What changes they would like to see? And, you know, listening and having that beginner's mindset, like I didn't know anything, got me to be more curious. And it also connected me with, well, it can help connect me with people who I knew, but also I heard them and interacted with them in a different way. And it helped me build these networks, just like, you know, when you're starting out with something brand new. And so the next time you feel that you're, you know, out of your depth and it's really scary during a transition, remember that you can approach things with a fresh set of eyes, a beginner's mindset, like a rookie, and it could be a strength of yours, not a weakness. Okay? And the third strategy I want to, does that make sense about the rookie and the beginner's mind? Let me know. Put a yes in the comments if it does. And, you know, please share if you've had any similar experience and what you've done as you've gone through transitions as a leader. So, this third strategy that I want to lay on you is about your story and how you can use your story to help you navigate life transitions as a leader. Your story is your strength. Now you might say, well, Dr. Janine, what you talking about? You know, well, here it is. So, well, let me explain it first, and then I want to give you an example, personal example. So, every transition, every experience, every change you've gone through is another chapter in your life story, period. And so this strategy suggests that as you're going through transition, that you don't hide the transition, but instead you use it to connect and inspire, so that you reflect on your journey and you kind of think about what have you learned and how have you grown, and you share those experiences, because your story could be exactly what somebody else needs to hear. So I wanted to tell you this story about my son, who at a young age got diagnosed as on the autistic spectrum, led my husband and I into daily conversations, challenges, talking with, fights with host of teachers, principals, folk in the school, etc., as we try to help him through the process and help the school system, which is really hard often, understand, um, you know, his particular advantage and how we wanted to, you know, acknowledge him, support him, and that the system needed to bend and mold and be able to do that. Well, because systems oftentimes aren't used to be doing that. Every day we was up into school. And it really was nerve-wracking. I mean, I must admit, and all the time. And it was very frustrating, and it was very challenging for us to go through, and working that way so intimately and closely on a daily basis with the system in the schools that didn't seem to be able to, you know, bend and, you know, work like we wanted it to. And then I got appointed to the school board. I was able to use my experiences, what was happening to me in my life, in our life with our son, in that whole process of being a great school board member because my eyes were open to, teachers and what they went through, principals and the challenges they had, other parents like me who had children in special education, et cetera, et cetera. So that transition, and in order to do that, of course, I had to tell it, I had to share the story. And so as we're navigating life changes as a leader or whatever, and that's not just position, but also the role that you play or can play, sharing that experience, that chapter in my story was a strength. And though it was tough and rough and very frustrating and painful and emotional, that story helped shape policy for things to be different. That story helped other parents who were suffering. That story helped teachers learn even more and be even better than they already were. So your unique perspective is important, and you need to use it because your mix of experiences gives you insights that no one else has. Your story with its twists and turns is what makes you unique and a valuable leader. So owning your story can help you navigate these transitions and challenges that you face, that we all face, and make you a better, stronger, more effective leader. So those are the lessons. That's the lesson I wanted to teach today. Remember to, transitions are natural and normal. You as a leader, hey, you're going to face them. They're there. How do you navigate through them? You embrace the chaos and you lean into it. You approach the transition and what you're going through with a beginner's mindset. Be curious, ask questions, get a fresh new perspective, and you turn what you're going through, recognize that it's part of your story, make it your strength, own it, tell it, and use your transitions to help create change, to help make you a better leader, to help others with what they're going through, to be able to role model. So those are the strategies I wanted to put in there. So what do you think? I see. Let's look at some of the questions that we have. Okay. All right. Hey, LinkedIn user, how can leaders tell the difference between a typical tough day and the start of a big life change? Now, that's a good one. So in other words, how can you see whether it's just another day that's rough and tough, and or do you have to make a big change? Thank you so much for asking that question. Keep the questions coming if you have questions. I think sometimes it's difficult to be able to tell, is this just something that's episodic, it just happens every once in a while, how I feel, or is there, is this something ongoing, which I think is the first indication for you. And that is if it's a persistent pattern. Like, in other words, that things are occurring over and over and over again, and it's just not a one time incident. And then how you feel emotionally. Oftentimes, I find, and as I work with the leaders, the women, female leaders that I work with, they know it's time for a change, and you do. Your gut tells you it's time for a change. Oftentimes, we're hesitant about recognizing it or acknowledging it because we really don't know what to do, and that's real, and it's okay. Oftentimes, people on the outside will tell you, hey, you looking different, you acting different, you okay. And so we can get it from these external signs. And then sometimes the indications that it's time for a change is how we're feeling physically. Are we highly anxious, not getting sleep? Are we, barking at everybody? Our answers very short. We're obviously under stress. So those are the indications, many of the indications, the bottom line being that oftentimes that something is going on. It's about that pattern, how you feeling almost every day. And what you need to do about it, one, is to reflect on it, to self-reflect, to stop and ask yourself, well, what is different here? Or have some discussions or talk with people that you care about, and think about how, in fact, you can change your mind and your mindset and what's going on with you. So that self-reflection is a big one in terms of those indications. What other questions do we have? It's so good to see all of you. Oh, here's a question here. Do we have that? Oh, can you share tips for how leaders can stay focused at work when they're dealing with big changes? Well, let me tell you, one of the biggest things is to have a plan. Yeah, I think it's very important for when you're going through life change and it's going to affect you as a leader in your job, in your career, with your team, that you stop and get yourself a plan for how you're going to deal with it. Because oftentimes, excuse me, we don't, uh, excuse me, oftentimes we're not intentional about, well, this is a transition. Here's what I'm going through. Let me take a deep breath and think through what I need to do, how I need to act, what are my priorities, how can I manage my time better, so that I can not overlook those things that are important tasks, important relationships. So having a plan, that is to actually sit and think about how you're going to deal with a situation, I think is one of the big ones. Another tip is to make sure that you're leveraging and using your support systems, whatever they are. Use them, find them, use them, be open, uh, let folk know what's going on. Another tip that I would suggest is the things that you're doing, particularly during a transition, that's nerve wracking or got you emotionally or whatever it is to whatever you need to do, you break your tasks down into smaller steps, smaller things. So don't go out and try to tackle the world, that big project that you've been putting off for a year. Say, oh, I'm going to do this huge project. You might want to break it down into smaller tasks, because this is the time where you really want to not feel overwhelmed, and you want success. Because you want the success, want the momentum. So get something small, low hanging fruit is what I always call it, something that I know that I can do for sure and be successful. And so that I can do that, feel good about it, get confident about it. So break things down into smaller tasks, and then always celebrate whatever you do, celebrate your wins. During a time of transition, particularly those that are tough, if you're a leader, find ways to celebrate what you have accomplished. Even if it's just taking yourself out to go to the movies, if it's telling your best friend, calling, that's what I would do all the time. Call my best friend and say, guess what happened? Guess what I would do? Guess what I accomplished? Or, what have you. Here's what I did. So find that support system, get yourself a plan, break things down into smaller tasks, celebrate your wins. Those are some tips. Okay, so listen, that ends the session for today. I am just so delighted that you were here. Thank you so much. I see some of the comments. Hello, uh, Debbie. Okay, so I think Debbie is giving me something. Please DM me, and then I'll be able to answer your question. Thank you so much, Dr. Pierre. Dr. Pierre will be joining us on a live stream soon. She's left some fantastic comments. Uh, please um, look at her comments and in the chat. Yes, thank you for all your great feedback. How are you, Mansa? It's good to see you. And Debbie, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. And so it's so good. Okay. It's so good to see all of you here. And then all my TikTok community, thank you so much for being here with us. Good to see everyone. Listen, see you next week, Wednesday, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Lisa Cruz, welcome. Thank you for being here. If you need help in your transitions as a leader, DM me. Love to talk to you. Schedule a time where we can have a strategy session. Mwah. Love you all. See you next time, next week, Wednesday, 9 o'clock.